Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you, students? This is Abdul Ahad, your physics teacher. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Last class, I think it was clear enough. Most of you have done well. Your marks were up to the mark. Some of the girls, I think, some of the girls of 8A have not completed the task. I request to kindly take up the task to finish the assignment. There are just a couple of fill in the blanks. You have to just type in the answer and send. If you have any technical issues, you can always contact me. Okay, but don't try to send me messages late night. Okay, so let's go back to our lesson. Okay, so this class is again, it's on chapter 15, but it's 15.2. That is, we're gonna look into the topics which are there in this chapter. Okay, so last class we discussed little things. For example, we discussed about conduction, how conduction takes place in solid substances. We discussed that conduction happens in metals. Okay, and we also went through this very wonderful experiment which shows us how heat gets transferred from a hotter region to the colder region, and also it gives us an idea which metal transfers heat, that is conducts heat faster, right? So now today inshallah we'll be learning about convection, but before that let's learn about air. See, air is a very good insulator. Okay, you just have to remember this, that air is a good insulator, okay, and it's a bad conductor. Okay, just remember this is very important. Okay, so the clothes, the clothes which we wear, they keep us warm. How do they keep us warm? They trap the air around our body. So when the air gets trapped up, okay, so the heat gets trapped, so it insulates us. The more air layers are trapped, the greater is the insulating effect of the clothing. Okay, so, and this is how even animals keep in warm, keep themselves warm, okay, by using fur. Okay, so the fur or the feathers, they trap the air around their bodies. Okay, it becomes like an insulating layer. Okay, so the heat doesn't get transferred, uh, doesn't escape from their bodies. See, maintaining heat inside the body, maintaining on temperature is very, very important. Otherwise it can be even fatal. Okay, it can even lead to death, sudden death, because body temperature is very, very important. It has to be in normal, in normal ratio, or in the normal levels. Okay, so now what does the clothing does is it traps the air and it insulates. Okay, so it traps the air, and thus conduction doesn't happen. So air is an insulator. Okay, so you might be getting questions with regards to this concept, that is how clothes keep people warm, and how clothes protect people from becoming very vulnerable to the cold climate outside, because the heat, it transfers from warmer region to the colder region. Okay, so if your body is hot, it's hotter than the climate, then obviously the heat will try to escape out of your body. So air is a good protector. Air, when it is insulated, okay, when it gets trapped through clothes or feathers, or feathers or hair, whatever it is, okay, it really protects us from this problem. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, next slide. It's about our next topic, which is known as convection. Okay, so we discussed that conduction happens only in metals, okay, in solid objects. Here, this convection process, now it happens only in fluids, that is in gases and liquids. Okay, so, and you have to remember that convection is the transfer of heat through fluids by the upward movement of warmer, less dense regions of fluid. Okay, this is very, very important. You have to remember these words. Okay, it happens by the upward movement of warmer, less dense. Upward movement, less dense. These are the keywords. Okay, let me go to the slide. Upward movement, less dense. These are the keywords. You have to remember this always. Okay, so with regards to convection, this topic, these two words, these two terms are very, very important. Okay, note it down. So this is a very good example of convection, how it happens. See, this is a beaker, it's full of water, and there is a chemical which is known as potassium manganate. Okay, it's pink or purple in color. When it is put inside, and when you burn this beaker, up, what happens here is it starts to the water, it gets heated up, and what happens is the heated water, it expands and becomes less dense than the colder surrounding water. Okay, so it floats up to the top of the glass beaker. Now what is the use of putting this potassium magnet? Actually, when we put this potassium magnet, we'll be able to visualize, we'll be able to see how this less dense and which is hot water expands, okay, and goes up. Okay, we will be able to visualize, because this color, okay, gives us the chance to see that, because it's color. So we will see that this color, slowly it's moving up. Actually, it's the warm water which is becoming less dense, okay, and goes up, that is to float this area. Okay, so this is the use of using this potassium manganate. Okay, and what happens to the cold water? The cold water sinks to its place. The cold water which is here, okay, when the water is getting heated up, the cold water, it comes down. You can also see that this potassium manganate, this chemical which is pink purple in color, we can also see, you can also visualize that this one, it comes down, it even comes down. You can see, so you can see a motion. You can see these particles of these chemicals moving in a circular motion. Okay, right? So at the top, the warmer water starts to cool. Okay, so this is a third step. Okay, we discussed two steps. One is about the hot water, which becomes less dense and it expands and it moves up to float up. Then next, number two, it's about the cold water which sinks down. It is dense, so it sinks down. And number three, at the top, the warm water starts to cool now, becomes more dense again, and will begin to sink. So you will see a circulating current inside the beaker. You can visualize this. Okay, so when you look at it, it will be so beautiful. Okay, so you will be mesmerized how it happens. Okay, so this is known as, this circulating current is called as convection current. Okay, this is known as convection current. Okay, so I'll tell you all those keywords. Okay, so whatever I have made it bold, like for example this word expands, less dense, floating up, sinks. Okay, so all these things are keywords that you don't have to miss it out when you write this answer. Okay, and also this one, dense, and also this one, circulating current. All these things, all these words are the keywords. Okay, so they carry lots of weightage when you write an answer. Okay, so the examiner will most probably look at these words. Okay, so even though your sentence formation is wrong, if you have written all the keywords correctly, you will get full marks. Yes, that's right. Okay, so these keywords are very important. So you don't have to write everything from your mind. Okay, don't make up answers. Okay, you can make up those sentences, but you can't make up all these keywords. Okay, so remember all these keywords. I'm teaching you in the examination perspective. Okay, that's very important. Okay, now this is another example of convectional currents. Convectional currents also happen inside a chimney. Okay, inside a chimney and a chamber. Okay, what happens here is this is a chamber. Okay, these are the chimneys. Here in this place, the air warmed up by the candle floats up the chimney on the right. Okay, and cooler air is drawn down to the chimney on the left. Okay, smoke from the burning candle shows up the circulation of air. Okay, so what happens is the hot air, when this candle lights up, the hot air, it goes up through this chimney, and the colder air gets inside, so there is a circulation which happens. Okay, so what happens ultimately, this area inside it stays cooler. Okay, this is a technique which people who are working inside mines, they do it to keep themselves cool. Okay, so this is one example. The other one example for conventional currents is convector heaters. That is a heater which warms up the room. The convector heater heats up the air, which then floats out of the top. Okay, so it heats the air and the air goes up, the warmer air goes up, and what will happen is when the warmer air goes up, automatically the cooler air comes inside. Okay, so the cold air is drawn in at the bottom, and this in turn is heated. In this way, heat energy is eventually transformed to all parts of the room. Okay, so this is how it happens, that the hot air, it gets circulated this way. Okay, based on convection. Okay, I think you might be understanding this concept. Okay, so take your textbook, read the textbook, read the lines, inshallah you'll get more clear idea, inshallah. Okay. And another good example of the application of convection is the convection oven. Okay, so in cooking ovens, the heat element is placed at the bottom of the oven, so it heats up. What happens is the hot air, it goes up, okay, and rises up by convection. The top of the oven is generally warmer than the bottom, so you can cook foods at different temperatures. Okay, so when you keep this dish at the top of the oven, it warms, it gets heated up quickly, whereas if you keep any other dish at the bottom of the oven, it heats up slowly and the temperature is less. Okay, and there is also a fan inside a convection oven. Okay, which if you want to have a uniform temperature all over the cooking oven, then you can switch on the fan. There is options inside this machine, inshallah. Okay, so and the last example of this convection theory which happens in nature is regarding this offshore and onshore breeze. Okay, so this is nothing but the movement of air to and fro from the land to the sea and the sea to the land. Okay, so basically you have to remember that at night, okay, this happens naturally, you have to remember this. Okay, at night the land cools down more quickly than the sea. Okay, so that is during night the sea is warmer, okay, and the land is cool. So what happens is there is an offshore breeze, that is the air rushes, that is it moves from the land and it goes to the sea. This is known as the sea breeze. Okay, and whereas during the day the land heats up more quickly than the sea, that is now the land is warmer than the sea. Okay, now what will happen is you will get an onshore breeze, that is you will get the breeze, you will get the air flowing from the sea towards the land. Okay, so why? Because the earth is warmer, it will heat up the air, the hot air goes up. Okay, then what happens is the cooler air comes in, okay, goes towards the earth, that is the land. Okay, so just go ahead and read the textbook. Okay, so let me repeat, during a hot day, heated air rises up from the land, that is warmer than the sea. A sea breeze consists of cooler air that moves in from the sea to replace the heated air. That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has made this arrangement for us, that is during the day, during hot days, what happens is sea breeze, it comes into the land to really replenish, to really refresh the people. Okay, His creation, alhamdulillah. Okay, and the reverse happens during night. At night the sea is often warmer than the land. Now air flows from the land to the sea, and this is called as the land breeze. Okay, so during the day we get the sea breeze, and during the night we get the land breeze. You have to remember this. Okay, now these are some important points which you have to remember. Okay, convection is the transfer of heat through fluids, liquids and gases by the upward movement of warmer, less dense regions of fluids. Okay, so I already told you about the very important keywords that you have to remember. And number 2 is convection does not occur in solids. Okay, again this is also very important. Okay, convection does not occur in solids. And lastly, a vacuum does not allow convection also. Okay, so you see these are the very very important 3 points which you have to remember always. Okay, and these are the questions for you for today, inshallah. So okay, I'll be sending you through Google Classroom. You have to reply in Google Classroom. Don't reply anywhere. Don't type in YouTube or anywhere whatsoever. Okay, you just have to type in the box, small box which you will find on the right corner, right upward corner. Okay, if it is in the PC or if you are using a mobile phone, you will get it right away on your screen at the bottom. Okay, so don't have to type anywhere. You don't have to make a PDF or doc file, document file, whatsoever it is. Okay, so inshallah, so we'll meet up in the next class, inshallah. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.